Hello. If you didn't know, I'm Carly Pearson, the 17-year-old bereaved and surviving daughter of my mom, Allie. I mean, to be honest, how could you not know me? She always bragged about me and Brady on her Facebook page. But I'm gonna humbly brag about myself for a change, and I request all of you to listen to my speech before we get on to the other speeches. Because, not to brag, it's kind of epic and awesome. Oh, and forgive me if my voice sounds a little bit weird. I got braces a week ago that I'm still getting used to. You know, the entire trajectory of my life changed forever on a Sunday. One of those weeks. If life could stop throwing flaming curveballs at me that were going at 200 miles per hour with spikes on them, I really appreciate that. Words cannot express how thankful and appreciative I am of everyone that came out tonight. If we've never met until today, or I've known you all my life, or something in between, it means so much to me, more than anything. And some of you even dropped everything you could and came from out of state just to be here and support me and my family, and that means so much. I am a broken record with my many variations of thank you, this means a lot, but it seriously does. Every little interaction, every little message, every little conversation, every little hug and offers of sympathy and condolences just reminds me that I'm not alone. With all of my heart and soul, thank you. I'm gonna try my absolute hardest to get through this without crying hysterically, but you know, it was my mom who taught me that it was okay to cry. It didn't matter if I was crying because I got a bruise on my leg, or it was over some dumb teenage drama, or just a really upsetting episode of a TV show. My mom would always comfort me and hug me and hold me and tell me that it's okay to cry. But she also told me that, you know, it's not healthy to be sad forever and wallow in my misery forever. And she said that because there are still good things in life. And that is how I want to honor her, by still seeking out the good in the universe and the beauty in life, but also allowing myself to feel every emotion, every feeling that I have. If you knew my mom or anything about her, you would know that she is very headstrong. She would get knocked down 99 times and come back 101. She was very passionate and stubborn. She never gave up. But at the same time, she was open to change and looking at things from another perspective. She always amazed me in that way. And she's definitely passed on her wit and determination to me. And you know, because of that, we often clashed. And we clashed hard. But once I got done being an emo teen and I want to spend time with my parents for the most part, I started to value my relationship with my mother, and we both began working on strengthening it. At the time of her death, my mom was my best friend. We told each other everything. She shared stories to me from her childhood and from her adulthood, and she offered her wisdom and her advice so that I wouldn't make the same mistakes as she did. I'm so beyond hurt that I don't get to hear more of her stories. I am so hurt that I can't go to her physically anymore for guidance. Some of the last things that my mom and I talked about were how badly my braces hurt and how I'm gonna get over this stupid teenage heartbreak. Both of those things feel so trivial now. My mom, she always had a way with comforting people, so much so that she made a whole career out of it. She gave the best advice, and if she didn't know what to say, she would give the most comforting and soul-soothing hugs imaginable. Hugs that were given with all of her heart and her soul. My mom allowed me to see that even during the darkest of times, there's still light. She always walked around the house and turned every sentence she could into a song. She'd come home from a long day of work and would just sing about how stressed and angry she was in a lighthearted voice. I don't want to go to work. I want to go to bed. I hate work. I want to sleep and sleep and sleep. Yeah. She'd sing to me and Brady to remind us to brush our teeth. Every night it was brush your teeth, brush your teeth, brush your teeth with a toothbrush. And she'd sing to the pets as a way of greeting them, because, like, you know, people go up to their pets like, hi. No, my mom went, Marcia me, Marcia moo, Marcia moo, moo, Marcia moo, 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 moo. And the moo, moo, moo part would just repeat on forever. And there were variations for Willow and Biscuit, too. Willowy, Willow-woo, Biscuity, Biscuit-boo. I'll spare you guys from that. She loved words and just strange and silly words in general, and I could not tell you how many words that we literally came up with together, or just words that are not commonly used that we use together so frequently. Brady joined in most of the time, but when he didn't, me and my mom would both spam text Brady by sending each letter of the sentence individually. BRADYANSWER. You get it. Fluffoon is what we would call our cats. And my mom, nah, she's my momtheroni. Sorry, momtheroni. And the pet food, instead of being called, you know, pet food, morsels. And when the cats wanted food, morseling. Or morsel manipulation. But the cat's wet food, that's not morsels, that's con food from a con. The list of nicknames that we'd come up for our pets was near infinite, and we would often quote song lyrics or TikTok audios or memes to each other when passing each other in the hallway or right before bed. And she was often dumbfounded by my misuse of the word bruh. It seriously confused her. I don't know what she thinks it means, and I guess, yeah. But one thing she often told me was that she loved me with all of her heart and soul. And, you know, when I was younger and she told me that, I took it literally. I couldn't grasp what it meant. How could she love me with one of her organs? I probably thought. But when I think about it, I know what that means now. My mom loved me with everything she had. And it's almost ironic that she passed away from having an enlarged heart. She always had so much love to give. I wish I had more videos of her singing. I wish I had more videos of her talking in one of her many special and weird voices that we used together. I wish I made a list of every nickname we had given to our pets and to each other over the years. I wish my mom was here and that the past week has been some kind of twisted, horrific nightmare and that we're all going to wake up soon. My mom wanted to do so much more. She considered opening her own private practice since she passed her LCPC, Licensed Clinical Professional Counselor, exam last September. She was so proud of herself for that. She wanted to go on many more vacations and see many more sights. She wanted to reconnect with old friends and strengthen her current friendships and relationships. She wanted to support me and Brady as best as she possibly could by going to all of our events and activities, even if she complained about the driving. Pardon my French, but it is so fucking horrible that she is not going to get the chance to fulfill more of her dreams, that she's not going to experience more of what life has to offer. My mom, she was good at helping everyone around her, so much so that she forgot to help herself. She loved everyone in her life, especially me and Brady, so intensely and profusely that she sometimes forgot to give love to herself. But over the years, she was getting better at it. She made time at least 3 times a week to exercise. She expressed her feelings through journaling or by coloring in her many coloring books or just staying on top of her planner. And no matter what was happening, she made sure that her bed was made right after she got up. And she was so very much aware of the toll that depression, anxiety, and other mental illnesses took on everyone in her life, whether it was someone else's mental illness or her own, and she wanted to be proactive about her own. She's not here to finish her healing journey, and that enrages me more than words could ever possibly express. But I'm still here. I'm still here. My mom was my biggest supporter. She wanted me to achieve all my hopes and dreams, no matter how crazy they sounded. She wanted me to live the life that she never got to have, but whilst me still being my own person. For about the past week, I've been trying to fulfill her role by taking care of everyone in my life, but when I think about it, I don't need to do that. My mom would think that it's so beautiful how deeply and intensely I care for others, but she wouldn't want me to forget about myself, especially when I so easily forgot about myself at times. And admittedly, when I was in middle school and we had fights that were seemingly every day, I had a deep fear that I would end up like my mother. But, when I think about that, I already have. But it doesn't have to be a bad thing like I had so horrifically feared. I definitely take after my mom physically, yeah, but I have her kindness and her understanding and her passion and compassion and her humor and her determination. But most importantly, I have her love and her wisdom. And at the same time, I have the knowledge to recognize that we share the same weaknesses. And she never got to, quote unquote, recover from her weaknesses, even though she wanted to. It just wasn't easy. She's given me the strength and desire to find healthier and more appropriate ways to cope with everything and manage and push through my weaknesses. She believed that at times, her big emotions and feelings were her biggest weakness, and that it pushed everyone in her life away from her. But I believe that her feelings and her emotions were her greatest strength, no matter how trivial it sounded to anyone else. It's what made her human. I'm not going to make my entire life purpose about carrying on her legacy and her spirit because I still got hopes and dreams of my own. She would want that for me, and I know that. But of course, the last thing she would want is to be forgotten, just like how grief isn't forgotten. Grief is something that stays with us forever, but we grow and we change and we learn how to cope with it. The grief doesn't grow, the grief doesn't change, we do. And the same thing goes for the healing journey that my mom never got to finish. And something my mom struggled with all her life is black and white, all or nothing thinking, jumping to the absolute extremes. But she was working towards finding a balance, finding a middle ground, finding a gray area. And that's what I'm going to do. Find a balance. A balance between letting myself grieve and being as angry and upset and frustrated and bitter as I need to, but also still trying to look for the good things in life and being happy and smiling and laughing. A balance between making my mother proud and making myself proud. A balance between the past and the future. A balance between grief and healing, and because they are both things that stay with you for your life. Admittedly, I regret not doing more. Once I found out that she passed, I was haunted, destroyed, crushed. Whatever word there is, I was just straight up ruined by the fact that I don't know if my mom knew how much I loved her. But I know that my mom wouldn't want me to dwell on the regret and the guilt forever. She would say something along the lines of, the past is the past, but the future is still in your control. And she's so right for that. The future still is in our control. So if you're going to take anything away from this speech, it's this. Make the decision. Reach out to your old friend from high school. Book that vacation. Go spend time with your family, even if you really don't want to. Stay close. Stay connected. Because it is so much better to do something and feel iffy or weird about it than it is to not do something and regret it and carry the regrets with you for the rest of your life. My mom would want you to. My mom would want all of you to stay as true to yourselves as best as you possibly can. Yeah, it's hard, and yeah, it sucks that I'm making these realizations and figuring things out at seemingly her expense. Yes, it is not fair that not everyone has the same optimism for life even after everything that me and my mother have. It's not fair that people believe that crying, that grieving, that just having emotions in general makes you weak, because it does not. And life is not that simple. We all have emotions. We all have feelings, whether we want to admit to it and confront it or not. But we're all in it together. We're not alone. No one is as ever alone as they think they are. It does get better, even if it seems impossible, because believe me, it does right now. You can make a difference in your life and in the lives of others, even if it's small, just by reaching out and letting people know that you care. Just by recognizing your own emotions and how to healthily navigate them, that can make a huge difference. If I just lost my mother, my literal mother, at the age of 17, and I still have hope for the future, and I still want to get through everything, that just goes to show how much I've learned from her and how much I've grown over the years. You can as well. But of course, that's something you have to want for yourself. And no matter how much my mom and I want everyone in our lives to get better, it's not going to happen unless they want it for themselves and they work for it. Even if it takes something major, like, my mom's death, to realize it. Because it's better late than never. And we all know that my mom was often known for her tardiness. Like, I'm surprised she didn't turn up late today! But at the end of the day, she still showed up. And yeah, sometimes it sucked, showing up late to places and being like, I'm so sorry I was late, I was stuck in... She still showed up, and it would have been easier to just give up and go home and not go at all. But she still showed up. And after my mom's dad, my papa, passed in 2020, my mom was crushed beyond belief. But she didn't let that impede her progress. And even if it did, she had a support system to fall back onto, because she wasn't alone. And those two contradicting ideas can exist at the same time without invalidating each other. And I think that's one of the most valuable and important things that I've learned from my mom. And I will use that to be sad and happy at the same time. Bittersweet, somber, sappy had, oxymoron, whatever you want to think of it as. Because at the end of the day, my mom, of all people, understood that emotions and healing and grief and life in general is just extremely complex, and there's no one right way to do it. Make the most out of it. The good, the bad, everything in between. The things you don't know how to describe. Talk about things, even if it's uncomfortable or that's too morbid or we didn't talk about that back in my day. Keep an open heart and an open mind. Hug your loved ones. Play with your pets. Support each other. Uplift each other. Support and uplift yourselves. Be kind to yourself, to others, to the world around you. My mom, contrary to how she grew up, believed that death was not the end. And this is not the end, even if it seems like it in the present moment. And just because my mom isn't with us physically, she's still in our hearts and in our souls and in our minds and in our spirits and everywhere else. Her memory and her legacy will not be forgotten. Thank you.